Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome along to the SRF Weekend Warriors presented by RaceVoice for Week 10 of the Championship as we've returned to Europe for the final time this season to a technical and curvaceous track. It's, of course, Hungaroring. Motorsport has had a long tradition with Hungary. It was all the way back in 1936, the first Budapest Grand Prix was held at the circuit, with Fazio Nuvolari winning in the Alfa Romeo, and more recently in the circuit's history, it's had a Formula 1 race since 1986. However, it's the turn of the weekend warriors in the Ford Spec Racers to duke it out for victory today. I'm Tim Cox. I've got Adam Hadfield joining me, and as always, we've got Jonathan Browsley on production. Now, just taking a look across to the standings first of all, keep you up to date with what's happening there. Aero non-wow, what can we say? It's been another impressive season for the Estonian. All the way clear, 229 points clear of second place, which is currently Austin winner. We've got Tony Bartman dropping a place down into third. And then Yorgomani, he's rose place, displacing Peter Mirashek in fifth. And then Yang Jilin, who fortunately we haven't had all season and quite possibly could have come higher. His fortunes haven't been the best in the last few races. Arabian 7th, Dantas 8th, and West 9th, and Niselli in 10th place. Let's have a quick look across to Spec 2. We've got Favini, he's leading the way in Spec 2, currently with 3 wins to his name. Alan Mccain in second place. Jason Green and Fabio Andala, they've both risen 2 places into third and fourth respectively, with Gibson, the loser from that, dropping down to 5th. Jackson, he's on 330 points and not far off the group in front of him. However, he has got Batenga hot at his heels in 7th place, with just 6 points behind. Kirk Broadhurst is in 8th, with Wallbolt 9th, and Flores rounding out your top 10. Across the Masters, well, Chris Murakami, 3 wins to his name this season. He's having another commanding season yet again in Masters. Tom Gradwell, he's in 2nd place with Brewster. Top 3, exactly the same as they were last week. He's now only 36 points adrift from Gradwell. Still a chance to catch up. Bradshaw, he's up a place, and Bob Kearns up 2 places into 4th and 5th, with Stevie Ray removing that penalty, self-enforced penalty they put on himself after to miss a week. He's down to 6th, down 2 places, with Cantor down 1 into 7th. Ken Batley, he's risen up into 1st, and Andrew Love, 3 places, and now finds himself in the top 10 in 9th, and Antonio Rice, well, he's down 2 places, still inside that top 10, and one to always watch out for. Always good in qualifying, however, unfortunately, doesn't always necessarily have the best of times during the race. And got qualifying not far from the end, and just give a shout out to them. Of course, RaceVoice, they always sponsor this series. If you're looking for a simple way to transform complicated data into easy to understand notifications alerts, they have over 16 different notifications, including up and down shifts, over rev alerts, corner entry and exit speeds and turning speeds, and it provides immediate feedback on vehicle and driver performance. Adam, welcome along, and well, into Lagos last week. I think I've only just about got over that one. Another absolutely amazing race with incredibly tight finishes. I mean, should I be surprised? It's what we've become accustomed to with this series.
Yeah, it absolutely is. A little bit closer than perhaps there's the standard in this series. Normally there's at least a couple of tenths between them. Last week, Nom beating out Niselli by just 0.04 of a second. Then behind that, I think just about everyone came across in pairs and threes, didn't they, with barely a slither of paper between them for the most part. A different kettle of fish tonight, I imagine. We're on a tight, twisty circuit of Hungaroring. Still a Grand Prix circuit, so still plenty big enough for these cars, but yeah, it'll be a different sort of racing tonight, I imagine.
Now, this circuit, it's not always known for being the best at overtaking. However, as we've normally said, you know, with this series, but they can't overtake there, and somehow they do seem to somehow make it work in spectacular fashion. I mean, turn one, the run down to turn 1, as always going to be a definite hotbed for action, and certain we'll see overtakes from there. But I think possibly even into on the exit of turn 2, turn 3 potentially, if they manage to keep it alongside on the exit out of 1.
Yeah, 14 corners on this track. I imagine all the hairpins will be fair game in cars of this nature because they will be able to follow really closely, unlike what we maybe see in the real world. And then, yeah, any chance that you get into the draft and you can pull out turn 4 is potential with the long climb up the hill there, possibly even the chicane at 6 and 7. I don't think there's anywhere where we're not going to see a little bit of side-by-side action in such a huge field as is common in this Weekend Warrior series.
It is indeed, as always, blessed with such a large field, and we were just speaking about it before the show. I mean, a bit light on numbers today by the series standards. Only 41 drivers. I mean, a lot of series would be happy just to have 30, and we're talking about low numbers at 41. It is just so well supported, and I think the racing in it, Adam, just really invokes why it is so well supported, and week in, week out, we have so many drivers turn out.
Yeah, I imagine anyone watching us on YouTube now is going to be seeing a real show, and they might take us up on some racing. It's certainly going to encourage any bystanders to come and have a little bit of fun with us. You can't not watch this and get enthralled by the action and want a piece of it.
So just currently on the 5-minute warm-up end. Wow. Clearly trying to get it out of his system for now, but that is our championship leader in Spec 1. Aeronom, he's been, I think, pretty much faultless the whole season. Hasn't put a foot wrong. However, having a bit of a moment there out of turn 5.
Yeah, not sure what that was. Is it cold out there particularly? Certainly it'll have just come out of the pits and on cold tyres. But not a normal action of Aeronom, certainly. We've not seen him lose it much this year. And as I say it, there are your conditions on the right there. 85 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature. Not overly warm, is it?
No, it's 29 degrees Celsius if you're of the metric preference, but it's on the toastier side of warm, but nothing too over, you know, it's just nothing too horrific. It's not like a complete ice rink out there. However, definitely will be interesting to some of the braking zones and cold tyres and cold brakes, as we just see Dutchman Thomas Renders there coming through. A real tight and technical part of the circuit here. So this is through turns 8 and 9. Sorry, and we see, sorry, it was 7 and 6, apologies. The corner's quite similar there. So he just comes around 9 now. And now onto this straight here on the run, so out of 11 down to 12. And this is where there is potentially another chance to overtake. Of course, these cars don't have the most horsepower, so it will take a lot of momentum out of the previous corner. However, there is a chance for a bit of a lunge on the brakes to try and make up a place.
Yeah, definite opportunity there if you surprise your opponent just with a quick dive, or even just getting a better run out of the previous corner. That left, right, left high-speed section definitely gives you opportunities to outdrive your opponent and just get a slightly better exit. We're on board with Renders there. He's currently qualified 16th. Last week we saw him for the first time finishing 13th at Interlagos, so let's see if he can't break the top 10 tonight.
It'll definitely be interesting to see, and it takes this one incident. We quite often see, you know, someone who climbs through the field at an exponential rate, and there is Portuguese driver Antonio Rice just making his way up into turn 4 there. Now, this is one to watch out for, especially on an opening lap. For that very reason, as he flies past the car there, there's some green curbing on the outside of the corner, and it can potentially spit you out into the wall, or at least cause you to spin. Now, with so many cars and such a large field, that'll be incredibly close in the opening laps. We could potentially see a bit of a hotbed for action, some drivers having to take some evasive action to prevent contact, and that normally leads to some real winners in terms of positions gained for some people. Some people can end up losing, but it's a complete luck of the draw. Likewise, just in the moment where we just watch Austin Winner into turn 2 here, and it's a bit of a tricky spot, especially then out of 3 in these early stages, Adam.
Yeah, I think turn 4 is also probably one of the only opportunities where you might see a slowdown if drivers get in there too hot and really use the run-up on the outside. It's a fairly forgiving circuit in that respect. There's not many places where you can cut and gain an advantage.
drivers just start to grid up. Let's take you through your grid for this evening. Aaron on pole with Austin Winner. Joining him on the front row, Beardsley and Viger are on the second row with Arabian and Yangshi Lin. A much more improved qualifying for him after some underperformances for the last few weeks. Gori and Mirashek, they make up the fourth row with Sadro and first of the Spec 2 drivers, Alan Mccain in 10th place. His fellow Spec 2 racer drivers just behind him position-wise, but on the opposite side of the grid, Andalo, he's got body West for company on the 6th row. On the 7th row is Yorgmani with Favini, then Lopez and Renders with Green and Murakami on the 9th row and the 10th row, Antonio Rice and Steve Elson. Haycox and Brewster in 21st and 22nd on the 11th row with Delgado and Carter in 23rd and 24th, Paul Jackson and Nelson. We've got Sancinelli a bit further down the field from where we normally expect him in 27th with Gibson for company. Then it's Vaccaro Leone in taking it to 30th with Cantor, Kern, Justice, Ackerman, Flag, Waldbolt up to 36. And then we've got Sherman. Bartman, well, yet didn't set a time. Watch him coming through the field with Trespidini, Conti, Flores, Dantas, another one to watch out for, and Hansen rounding out your grid here at Hungaroring. As they come round the final corner, here come the lights, and let's get ready to go racing in the SRF Weekend Warriors at Hungaroring. And you see, everyone's spread across the track. We've got 3 wides everywhere. We've even got a 4 wide there, heading down into turn 1. Just see in the background there, Murakami trying to bend off from someone. Marnie in the midfield there, trying to make some progress. Aeronom leads into turn 2. He's got Arabian and Winner tucked up right behind him. A good start from Arabian, up 3 places so far. Come down into turn 2 there. You see Marnie in that red and white car right in the middle of the pack. So we'll head through, everyone away relatively safely so far. This is where it could get interesting into turn 4. That curbing, as I mentioned about everyone so close to one another. Nose to tail right now. You see Murakami and Bobby West dueling it out there. All over 14th place right now. Murakami up 3 places. West down a couple. Favini made progress just in front of him as well. He's currently in 13th. As we see Haycox, oh, that's a big lunge on the brakes. Trying to be the last of the late breakers into the chicane. It looks like he's going to get the move done, but then just gets a really slow exit and could end up losing the places that he's just pretty much gained there, Adam. I think, yeah, he's definitely going to lose them all.
Yep, 3 wide into the chicane doesn't work, does it? You've got to give on the exit when you're hemmed in on the inside like that and get a terrible exit. Of course, shout out to Arabian there from 5th to 2nd off the start. That's a great start from him. Obviously read the situation well there, made some places, and holding off Winner as we come to the end of the opening lap. Nom in his usual place out in the lead from Arabian Winner, Weiger and Beardsley in 5th.
Pull up a bit of a gap as well to Arabian in 2nd place, 6/10 of a second. Other than that, we've then got a pretty evenly spread field. One long snake. You see him out on the racing line there, across the start-finish line. We're right on board with Favini right now, just ahead of us. That is Lopez. As you see, just behind us, Bobby West on the attack. Army just waiting in the background. You see, just adopting his racing line as West on the inside, trying to find a way through against Favini, who holds on tight right around the outside to keep alongside West. And if anything, he's pulling ahead, and Murakami trying to follow him through right now. So it's right behind Favini, but just backing out as West somehow still clinging on for dear life, but just in the end has to yield to pull it back in behind Favini. And well, that was so close there for West and getting a move done.
Yeah, ahead of them we saw Lopez pull the exact same move and Cedro into the first corner. Only Lopez managed to make it work. Shout out to Murakami as well, I should just mention, made up 3 places to lead the Masters, currently in 15th, just off the back of this pack and in behind West now.
Out of 6 and 7 and through 8 and 9. Top 10 after early stages is, well, the top 2 have really closed up. Arabian has taken a big chunk out of Nom and close right up onto the back of him. Only 3 tenths seen them, but Nom leads from Arabian winner. Viger in 4th, Gory 5th, Beardsley, Lynn, Mirashek, Marnie, and Mccain. He top 10 with Mccain. Leader in Spec 2. Well, actually, forget that. Grab that. Lopez has just made it past Murakami, leading in Masters in 15th place. You can see Lopez there. Oh, and the curse the commentator strikes, and the rear, well, I think maybe a bit too late, deep on the brakes there.
Potentially, it looked like he maybe lost it, sort of changing down the gears. It just unsettled the rear, and off it went out into the outside. Luckily for him, there is some runoff in there, so he could recover quickly. Now battling with Reyes on his outside. Reyes with a little bit more momentum and the draft here. I think he's going to lose another position. Is Lopez? Oh, unless he can just keep an overlap as they go breaking into turn 1 now. Oh, ahead they're jostling as well. Oh, he goes really late on the brakes. He's going to try and make 2 positions here. Oh, and it all goes wrong.
Oh, and everyone's going to take evasive action. Oh, big incident down at turn 1. As everyone tries to get around the spinning cars of Lopez and Haycox. Oh, and that looks like that's retirement for Lopez after making such good progress. What that means is it's gonna break up the pack a lot. That means that there's now a big gap between 3rd and 4th winner Gori occupying those positions. Just looking at Paolo Gori, so actually managed to get past Matthias Weiger during that incident there, and they were just watching and going along a gaggle of 5 cars behind him, made up of Weiger, Beardsley, Lynn, Mirashek, Yanni, and Sadro in that group. Chase group who've, well, but just 2.2 seconds behind to winner. That's a big margin to try and make up. As let's take a look at the replay of how it all unfolded down at turn 1.
Oh, we've just missed the start of that incident there, haven't we? But we saw it just go on and on and on. Several different sort of proto-incidents, as it were, stemming off the main one of Lopez going in a little bit too deep. Whether he got his nose chopped and that's what spun him, we'll have to wait for a slightly better replay on that one.
We'll see. Well, as you said, there's so many little micro incidents happening after it. Just the repercussions, but you see our lead 3 pulling away into the distance right now, and interesting to see what this chasing pack can do. Lynn locked right into the middle of them, as I'm sure these 3 will be. Well, we know from speaking to Aaron on, he doesn't really care about anyone else, not really so much about working together. However, feels like the 2 guys behind him, maybe potentially a bit of fuel saving to try and get the jump on Nom in the pits.
Yeah, one thing I was going to mention this week, I mean, we mention it every week, pit strategy obviously critical, but on a track like this, a little bit more difficult to overtake. You don't want to come into the pits, come out and find yourself behind anyone, do you? You don't want to get stuck and lose time. So I'm imagining a lot of drivers will go a little bit longer tonight. That early undercut might not be so favourable. I'm looking at Stevie Ray when I say that.
And that's incredible. Of course, Stevie Ray, also known for being the first of the pit stop takers, and this battle in the midfield is really starting to intensify as Marnie trying to find a way past Weiger at the rear of this group. Weiger in the 22 car, Marnie in the 25. This driver, you can see, just looming there, just trying to fill Weiger's mirrors as best as possible. He's also thinking about his own aspirations, trying to get past Mirashek ahead of him, who's currently all over the back of Lynn, who's all over the back of Beardsley. As you just see ahead there, that was Mirashek in the 1-2-3 machine, just pulling out there and trying to distract Lynn into the braking zone. However, Chinese driver is no luck himself. We've had that one fully covered off, and I mean, what you were saying earlier about the pit strategy, Adam, not wanting to come out into traffic, of course, one of the beauties and the beasts of this series is, with so many drivers, is that I mean, the later you leave it into the race, the longer you risk that coming out in amongst other traffic due to when the field is spread more out, as we just see Lynn on the attack there. Can he get the manoeuvre done? turn, and that's up the inside past Beardsley as Mirashek as well, looking for the attack. Now he's going to have to yield out of that one. But you see Beardsley trying to get the pace straight back, but Lynn's going to hold on to that one all the while this is happening. Gory just extending that gap out of the front, hence why Lynn looking to get the move done early on to chase him down and try and pull away from this group. But yeah, as I was saying, before we saw the Lynn pass, is that obviously the later you leave it, the more chance you've got of coming out into the pack due to the sheer amount of cars out on track. I mean, as it stands at the moment, we've lost a couple obviously due to retirees, but we're still 39 cars out on track. That's a lot, and it can become harder the later you leave it.
Yeah, definitely. As we see Bobby West there, just looking underneath Favini. He's got an overlap. Will he press his advantage into the chicane? He does, and closes the door on him. That's a nice move, jumps him up into 12th place. Meanwhile, I think we've had a swap for second. I think Winner's overtaken Arabian at the front of the race, and they've both lost time to Nom in whatever battle took place there.
See, they've really spaced out because of it. Nom now has an 8 lead. This will be his intention, just to pull away as best as possible in these early stages. Just coming up to 10 minutes completed here at the Hungaroring. Quarter race distance. You can see this is really starting to spread out, and I mean the gap between Arabian and Winner is even bigger. You're looking at only 1.3 seconds between those two, and Arabian, you see there, so you see the lap time differences between the two drivers. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
It's where it's all happened.
I'm wondering if he's picked up a slowdown somehow, because previous lap, Winner and Arabian both set fastest lap of the race in combo, so quite what's happened to him, I couldn't tell you.
This is a off track. That's a bit later in the lap where the move had already been done. So yeah, he's going to pick it up from where he just runs wide on the exit, trying to carry as much momentum as possible through the corner and keep up with the guys in front. So, well, clearly a mistake that's cost him dearly out there. But you see, Winner is definitely looking, despite qualifying less. Oh, it was a big lock up there from Andalo. That nearly had Renders right into the back of him, but managed to avoid the action. I think Andalo was trying to make progress against Elson, who's just ahead, but could have been a bit of a disaster for Renders there.
Yeah, you've got to watch your brake markers when you're in close behind someone. You've got to read how much extra speed you're picking up under the slipstream, and if it's a train of cars, obviously each car's going to brake that touch earlier. So lots to think about when you're in these battles. Speaking of in these battles, there's Mirashek, still right in the middle of the sort of second group of cars here. At the front of these guys, Palgori was trying to pull away. It looks like Wang Shilin's going with him. And they're kind of just dropping Beardsley off the back of them ever so slightly. As we see Arabian disappear in the foreground. They're obviously chasing after him now. Arabian a little bit lost duck on his own, I'm afraid.
The gap is extending it even further. Winner is closed the gap by about 2 tenths to Nom. However, the gap is now extended between Winner and Arabian to 2 seconds. And Arabian clearly suffering out there from some sort of problem. And as you say, Adam, that is slowly but surely bringing back into the clutches of Gory and Ling, who are closing a rapid race now. So let's take a look at the lap times. So they cross the line. There you go. Wow, a big difference between the drivers there. Around about half a second between them, and they're coming. Just over a second. Apologies. And yeah, they're definitely closing up and really onto the attack. And I think these two can smell blood right now for a position on the podium.
Yeah, they can see that is maybe a little bit vulnerable. Oh, he just runs a little bit wide there, does Corey. I thought Lynn might have had a sniff up the inside for half a second, but these guys, they want to work together. They want to try and drop as many of the cars behind them as they can, and chase after Arabian. 12 minutes, coming up to 13 minutes into the race. Probably another 14, 15 laps to go, plus our pit stop phase. See what they can't do on the car ahead.
Still a lot of opportunity to close up the gap. It's down to around about 2.1 seconds between this chasing group and Arabian currently in third. Wow, that gap is now extended out to 2.5 seconds extra between Winner and Arabian as Lynn all over the back of Gory right now. The Italian having to push on, keen to make progress, but also just be a little bit wary. The Chinese driver right behind him. Then honed into the back end of the spec race. So that number 80 of Gory. Is it me, Adam, or does he seem like he's starting to take slightly more defensive lines? Like, looks like he's not quite 100% sure whether Lin's going to mount an attack.
Yeah, he's not committing to the defensive line, is he? But he's just maybe spacing his car about half a car's width just from the white line as they turn in, just to make sure Lynn doesn't get any ideas. Whether Lynn's thinking that he can go a little bit faster than Paolo or not. Maybe he feels like he could lead this train quicker. Let's see now, he's in the slipstream if he wants to go. There's an ample opportunity coming up into turn 1. No, I think we just saw him there drop out of the throttle. He's happy to follow for the moment. So maybe Gory should concentrate on what's ahead of him for now. Leave the mirrors until later in the race.
Because of that, interestingly, Arabian and Gory Lin, very equal lap times. Last lap, lap 6, so lap 7, and definitely making some sort of influence on the situation, which means they're no longer catching Arabian, currently in third. However, with this little battle emerging further down the field between Andalo and Renders just ahead. Renders in the 641 machine to come up into 4, just across that Fable curve that you have to be so careful with, which you either have to go well over or keep off that green section, because water tyre barrier on the left hand side as you come out of the corner. It's but all I can say, Adam, is I've been up close and personal with that numerous times.
Yeah, I think we also saw Andalo make a little bit of an error on braking to turn 5, which is easily done through that section. If you run it wide through 4, then you bumble across the rumble strips there, it can take a little bit longer than you want to get all set up and in a straight line ready to brake for 5. It's an easy overshoot and time lost there off the back of Renders. Behind those two, Brewster, Reyes and Nelson fighting out the Masters battle for second. Behind the evergreen Murakami, who leads that procession in 13th place at the moment, some 6 seconds ahead of that group, as Bobby West looks to make merry on. Is that Mccain?
It is, who's heading into the pits. That is very early, 16 minutes in to use our perennial benchmark. Here's, I'm just looking for him up and down the field of series organizer where he is, but no, you don't think. Oh,
whoa! Meanwhile, we've got driver on the grass on the start finish line. Was that Nelson or Snakey?
I didn't quite catch who it was. It was, there you go, it was Nelson. I didn't quite catch it at the corner of my eye initially who that was. So yeah, I was just looking for where Stevie Ray was organising. Trespedini's headed into the pits if elected to try and get out into some fresh air, and this could work for them. I mean, we spoke about this much earlier in the race, Adam, of trying to find some fresh air, and these drivers were clearly feeling that they're stuck in a bit of a midfield fight, and these early stages where the field is still a bit more tightly compacted, we just see Conti and Carter a bit of a duke out there, and this will give them the opportunity to get out in some clean, fresh air. Oh, a bump from behind there from Conti to get the move done, and instantly, oh, I'm not too sure about that one there from Carter, and oh, there's a further follow-up accident.
Yeah, a lot of unnecessary contact in there. That looked a little bit deliberate, I'm sorry to say.
Yes, didn't look like Carter's one of his finest moments quite, but he remains going. So we should say the replay. So Conti behind and just got a bit too late on the brakes, and the nudge from behind, and instantly looking for the switchback, and then another collision, and it was Elson, I believe. Yes, it was Elson coming through in the 56 there. Doing well to avoid the spinning Carter, and both into the pits. Well, only Carter into the pits by the looks of things. Conti managing to keep going once more. What's going on? Oh, Lin has just managed to get past Gory in that battle for 4th place. How has he? As Gory holds on round the outside. and has to settle in to that 5th place that Lin was just occupying. Now, what can Lin do? 2.2 seconds, but Gory not quite finished with this fight yet, as Lin just slams the door shut in his face and says, no, you're not having any of that, sunshine. This is my position now. And now he begins to fight and the hunt to claw in that gap to Arabian ahead, who is now only 1.9 seconds up the road. Arabian really dropping off the back of our lead two of Nom and Winner. It's now 4.4 seconds, the distance between those guys.
Yes. Any idea of a tow for Arabian has been lost there, hasn't it? Hongxi Lin, meanwhile, has obviously got bored of following now, decided he wants to lead this group, but Gory wasn't going to give it up, put his nose back in there just to say it's not going to be that easy for you. He may even go for another fight back on this following lap. Might not follow Hongxi Lin's example from the past few laps of just working together, steadily reeling Arabian in, but we'll see what's in his head.
They head now down to turn 12, hard onto the brakes. Well, with Beardsley at the moment, you can see. You get the impression that it's easier to follow than it is to be the pace setter, because Gory, wow, Lin really squirrely on the brakes there, just about keeps it cool, calm and collected there, as Gory not able to quite capitalise. And wow, for the first time I think we've seen a mistake from Hongxi Lin. And can this be Gory's opportunity? On the run down to turn 1, tucked up in the slipstream, that gap is closing. Expect to see Gory pull out of the last second. Here he comes. This is going to be a test, and who's going to be the last of the late breakers, while Gory going to get to the apex first. Lin looking to run it right round the outside, and that is a spin for Beardsley as he tried to be opportunistic and follow Gory through.
Yep, that was unfortunate. Tried to make a tight inner turn there up the inside of Lin. It didn't come off as he jumped on the throttle a little bit too heavy. You don't think of these cars as being high horsepower, but it's still easy enough just to loop them around, as we've seen Beardsley do there. Down to 13th now after that little mistake. Let's go on board with him. So here's the opportunity on the inside. Yeah, and just a little snap of oversteer as he got on the throttle, couldn't correct it in time. And for a second I thought he was going to be beached on the inside there. It took him a couple of seconds just to get moving forward again, didn't it?
And of course, the pendulum effect that these cars have, having the engine in the rear of the car. Obviously rather like a Porsche 911 in that sense, however, well, it's probably about the only similarities that they have in terms of being rear-wheel drive, rear-engined. But yeah, once you've got that rear end sliding around, it can be a bit tricky to recover. And Beardsley there, fortunately losing out to on board with Favini, currently our leader in Spec 212 overall. It's over half race distance completed in top 10. The non-winner Arabian, Gory, Lin, Mirashek, Marnie, Viger, Adro, Murakami inside the top 10 on leader in Masters. Favini 12, leader in Spec 1. As I mentioned earlier, Murakami has got a big gap down to Brewster in 16th, Cantor in 19th in that fight for the win in Masters. For Spec 2, a little bit closer between first and second for Vini 12th, and Andalo 14th with Justice in 18th, as we see our lead 2 come through turn 1 for the 12th time. And well, the lap differences just explain everything really there. Been nip and tuck the whole way with these two, within a tenth every single lap.
Yeah, Winner completely comfortable there, just sat on the back of Aeronom, can obviously do the times with a little bit of draft assistance to keep up with him. I just want to make sure he doesn't lose him, as I think we've got a couple of back markers up ahead. Oh, as he really gets under his rear beam there, to turn 4 into turn 5. Yeah, I was just mentioning he doesn't want to lose him as we get into a couple of back markers that I can see up the road. So long as he can stay there to the pit phase, and then if he has managed to save a little bit of fuel through the opening of this race, he might be able to just slot out ahead by a second or so. And from there, it's a short run to the win for him, or that's what he'll be hoping anyway. Nom is obviously going to put up that fight. He isn't a 4-time winner this season for no reason.
It's not, and what can Winner do? Can he finally make the Estonian crack under pressure? He's coming on to a back marker. That's James Lopez ahead of them, who's so unfortunate being in the walls a bit, down 22 places. His place gainer, interesting. Tony Bartman, he obviously started right at the back. He's managed to climb his way all the way up to 21st. 17 places, just as in 18 for them. He is at 15 places himself, so not exactly slouch himself as we just see Mirashek right now. And this is where it's tricky for him and Lim, because both wanted to make an attack, however, both needing to cover off from the respective drivers behind them. Obviously, Mirashek behind Lin, and Mirashek has Marnie behind him as well. That's the gap between these guys. 0.8 of a second is all that covers these 4 positions. Once again, though, the gap between these guys and Arabian has not come down much over the last couple of laps. It seems to have just stagnated for the moment, around about 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, whilst these guys have been battling, Arabian's been grinning as he manages to hold position. I think we've all got into a line, though, now, back behind Gory. And that gap is just getting shaved away at again. We're down to what, 1.7 now. They'll start to feel the power of the draft anytime soon, and that'll just close that gap even more inexorably. As we watch Marnie just on the back of these guys, just a 4-car train now after we saw Beardsley spin.
Wow, you see Marnie just having a little bit of a look there, wasn't he, up the inside of Mirashek at the rear of this train, and first time, I think that's probably the first sort of attacking move, the first little prod and probe that we've seen Jorg Marnie make so far this race.
Yeah, just wondering where these guys would come out if they did pit now. Mccain, who we saw pit earlier, down in 21st, probably lost about 30 seconds in the pits lane, did he? So these guys would be looking sort of into the mid-teens, late teens around Justice and Cantor. Sorry, between Delargo and Justice maybe. So there's a 10-second window of clear space there. If that's where they'd come out, they might think, yes, I can hop lap quicker than the guys around me. We're watching Viger now.
I was just doing the maths myself, funnily enough, and it just looks like that's where they'll roughly about come out. Oh, Murakami, he is into the pits. Our leader in Masters, see him heading down to pit row there. Likewise, Antonio Rossi's headed in as well, and I've just lost track. Tony Bartman, that was the other driver, just heading into the pits. He's come out in 29th position. So you see this group. Wow, Marnie once again. It's like you said, it was like the battle earlier. You nailed it on the head, Adam, with the battle. Well, we see it just happening here once again between Gory and Lin, where Lin almost got bored with following. It now feels like Marnie is getting bored of looking at the back of Mirashek's car.
Yeah, definitely. You do sort of 5, 6, 7 laps in a row, or we're into lap 14 now, so possibly even longer than that. Sat watching a driver, you start to get ideas that you could probably do it a little bit better than the guys in front, and you start looking for those positions. Oh, late on the brakes. Oh, just for a second there, I thought he was going to get a real closer to the back of Mirashek. Doesn't happen though. The 4 of them still line astern again. I think they've taken a 10th or 2 out of Arabian. Arabian's going to be getting nervous, I think, anytime soon now. That
gap has come down to 1.6 seconds there, and it seems to be that every 2 to 3 laps, Arabian just seems to have a little bit of a mistake in him. As here comes Marnie finally, having a bit of a look up the inside and squeezes it through. Not normally a traditional overtaking place, but wow, if anyone can do it, these guys can. And Marnie gets himself ahead of Mishek into 6th. Now we'll look to close back up to the rear end of Lin. He's got his own aspirations. He's going to try and get past Gory. This is going to be interesting down in turn 1. Let's take another look. This is how Marnie managed to get past Mirashek. You can see him just, wow, I think you mentioned it earlier, Adam. It was all about getting that good exit out of 11 so that you could launch an attack into 12, and that is exactly what Marnie did there.
Yeah, I think he actually used a little bit more runoff as well, just on the exit of the corner. I think Mirashek seemed to hamper himself a little bit, trying to stay more onto the black stuff. Marnie ran a little bit wider, carried a little bit more speed, and immediately pulled out. Now he's detached himself a little bit from the back of Lynn and Gory, though. Not so much that he can't recuperate it, but it'll take a couple of laps. As again, we're watching Arabian just get pulled back towards them. These guys now between 6 and 7 seconds away from our lead 2, Norman Winner, who has, as we've seen throughout this race, just following line astern. Oh, as Lynn comes in really deep into 5 there. Meanwhile, looking at Murakami out to the pits now, down in 19th, just behind Cantor, one of his Masters rivals. Oh, who was that? Was that Justice just sliding through turn 2 there? Got it really sideways. Smoke billowing off the tyres, seems to have gathered it up though.
Yeah, you get the feeling it might be a slight lock-up, or one of those that sometimes looks a little bit more dramatic as well. A big moment there for Jeff Cantor, and he just held on to it. I thought he was a goner there. However, he's collected it all, and he's lost those couple of places to Murakami and Mccain. As our lead 2, they're in the pit lane. Norm and Winner have come in together from the lead. Let's see whether they are going to come out now, including the transition to get in and out of the pit lane. You're looking at around about 45 seconds as Marnie, Mirashek, Viger are all in as well. Arabian, Gory and Lynn have carried on again. Just see in the background there, the 22 of Viger, Beardsley's in, and Darlow's in. Adam, did you have to start in gun to fire it to announce for all the drivers to start coming in? Because it feels that way, doesn't it? And Darlow, Brewster, Delgado in. But nothing between those two at the front. Nothing whatsoever.
Yep, both come out together. I was just going to say, we're 30 minutes into the race, so it seems about an appropriate time. Everyone should be pretty light on fuel, so making their way into the pits. This has put Favini ahead of Spec 2 up into 5th with all these pit stops taking place. These guys are former leaders, dropping down to 6th and 7th now. Nom still leading the way of the pitted cars though. Winner has not been dropped though, and these two are going to fight it out for the remaining 10 minutes of this race.
Half an hour complete and 3/4 of the race gone. Your top 10 for now are Arabian, Gory, Lynn, West, Favini, Nom, Winner, Renders, Marnie and Mirashek. Marnie getting a great pit stop there in the jump on Mirashek, and really getting the move done there and extending time as well. That gap is up to around about 2 seconds, so great stop there for Mirashek. So for Marnie, we've got Murakami leading in Masters, he's 13th, as I mentioned. Favini, he's leading in Spec 2, 5th overall at the moment. However, our top 5 are yet to stop. Likewise, Renders in 8th place and Ian Gibson in 17th are yet to stop. And Bruno Conti in 29th, the only other driver yet to stop here at Hungaroring. No, apologies, there is another one. It's for Caro. He's down in 34th, as there we go. You can see Arabian and Gory in, but Yangshi Lin, he goes again, utilising his light car. Open track in front of him. Expect qualifying times from him over the next few laps as West and Favini are in. Renders is in as well. Wow, yeah, Lin, he's got to have been fuel saving with all that time he was spending behind Gory.
It certainly seems so as it goes a lap longer. Gory made great time on the entrance to the pits, I thought. He really closed in right under Arabian. Let's see how they come out, especially with Marnie and Mirashek also bearing down on them, I imagine. Oh, there you see them in the background now. These two look to have made time, in fact. Down into turn 1. Oh, just maybe overcooking it ever so slightly there, Arabian, as he is eager to get on his way again. And there's Marnie.
I think Arabian has actually pulled out a couple of attempts during the round of pit stops, looking at the gap currently. Actually, no, apologies, that's neutralised a little bit now. The 1.6 seconds, which was when they came in. She said Marnie has dropped right back off this group to the point of you can't even see him in the background. Remember, he was battling. There you go. Just about saw him in shot. So we see our lead 2 currently 2nd and 3rd overall right now. That's because Lynn is yet to come into the pits, who is currently our leader. They head through the chicane, the 6 and 7. Well, the pit stops weren't able to sort these two out. Nobody able to get the jump really on whether would be time or Winner getting past Nom. So you get the feeling these two are going to hold on, and then somebody's going to light the touch paper, and this is going to be fireworks on the last lap or two.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting finish. Winner has kept his powder completely dry during this race. I don't think he's shown a nose to Nom yet. 30 minutes in, as Lynn finally makes his way into the pits. Let's see if he can make some time on the guys he was battling. Arabian some 24 seconds behind him on the road. We go back to the leaders. As I was mentioning, Winner's not had a go yet. It'll be interesting to see if he wants a dress rehearsal or he just leaves it to the last lap to make a dive somewhere. I imagine it'll be into turn 1. That's your best bet on this circuit. And if you do manage to close him out, you should be able to defend for the rest of it. If you're defensively minded. Oh no, I've spoken too soon. I think he's going to show him.
He has a bit of a look for the first time. Does Arabian? Sorry, just Winner. Apologies. And just backs out of it. Just giving Aaron something to think about there. Winner. Well, you couldn't get much closer without tripping up over one another. Coming up onto the back end of Jim Brewster to lap in the 933 machine. Just see him in the distance there. They're probably going to be catching him somewhere around about 10, 11, 12, around that sort of area. It's coming up the hill into 4. Well, I would say hardly anything to separate them. It's in fact 2 tenths. That's what it looks like at the Hungaroring. In terms of where did Lynn come out? Well, he's got the jump on Arabian, and he's got a big gap as well. Look at that, 1.3 seconds. A great in-lap there for Yangji Lin, and he's leapfrogged himself all the way up into 3rd.
Yep, that's a great pit stop phrase from him, isn't it? He was a second or so off the back of Arabian as we went into those pit stops. He's come out more than a second ahead, so obviously he's worked his magic through the pit stop phase. Gory, Marnie and Misharek should take notes, I think.
So, this is currently our first and second in Spec 2, right up with one another. Mccain, see Favini just behind. Just around about 1.5 seconds, the gap between those two. Likewise, ahead of them is our leader in Masters, Murakami. Second place, Antonio Rice. He's had a really good, strong showing here. 16th, and you can hold on that one out. Second in class, he's got to be happy with that one, surely, Adam.
Yeah, definitely. We saw Mccain pit very early, didn't we, in this race? I think he was our first one in. And obviously it's not done him any harm, up into 12th position. Murakami, meanwhile, as ever, leading the Masters. He's gained 7 places tonight, all the way up to 11th. And he might not be done yet. West, Sadro and Viger are all there in front of him, battling. So he might pick off 1 or 2 more before the end of the night. A long way ahead of his rival, Reyes, down in 16th. And then Nelson, rounding out the top 3 in the Masters class, currently running 19th. But all of that is secondary to these front 2, with maybe 3 laps to run, I think. And looking at the clock, 36, 37 minutes, might even be 2 laps now.
I think
Winner
that
still.
They have got this lap plus 1 more. I think they may well see the white flag. It's just trying to work out, do the maths roughly in my head like you were then, Adam, work out where they are on track. So just over halfway around this, give or take, you know, just it's, well, for fastest, well, the last time around they were 158.9, 158.3, as we see a big battle in the midfield here. Viger, Zadro, West, 8th, 9th, 10th, bumper to bumper with one another as they come into 6 and 7. Chicane, West taking a lot more curb at the rear of this trainer 3 compared to the others, as our lead 2 come down into 12 and 13. See whether we're going to just looking at the.
I think it's going to be the last lap, you know.
I think it is, Adam. I think it is, and see, Nom just taking a really wide exit there, trying to cover off any sort of momentum from Austin Winner. as the American looks to hunt down the Estonian. You
Got
can
a good
see
exit.
just how wide it is as the white flag flies here at Hungaroring, and here comes Austin Winner for the lead for the first time today. He's up the inside. Can he get the move done on the brakes into one? He looks that way, but Nom's not having any of it as he heads round the outside, trying to carry every last little ounce of momentum that he can. But Winner's going to get ahead, and will Nom fight back into two. Expects a lunge as they come down onto the brakes, but Winner slams the door shut there to cover off Nom. And Winner, for the first time after 19 laps here at the Hungaroring, takes the lead.
That was a massive door slam there. I thought he'd left it open for Nom to take a dive, but no, as they approach the apex, absolutely shut it in his face. He's got 10 more corners. Let's see if he can hold him off now. We're round 5 now. That's one tick down. We approach the chicane. Nom isn't going to be close enough to do anything here.
Brakes. Nom just sizing up his opponent, bouncing across the curve, taking a lot more than Winner, applying maximum pressure. It is turned up to 10 on the dial as these two scrap it out for victory here in round 10 of the SRF Weekend Warriors. As Winner, you can see he's just moving around a little bit. Not enough to be classed as blocking, but Nom, wow, he's going to go on the outside. That's not surely going to get the move done as Winner just covers him off. Nom trying to be the last of the late breakers. He knows if he can hang the car in there, he's going to be the inside for the next corner, and he's surely going to claim the place in the penultimate corner. Can he hold on to first place after only losing it for half a lap here? And he's round the final corner, and surely now we're going to see Aero Nom take the victory, but Winner's going to have a good go in the race to the line, and Nom gets it by a 10th of a second. Wow.
Oh, I didn't expect it to be that close. Meanwhile, oh, this battle's still going. Bobby West has suddenly jumped to the front of these two. Sadro and Viger side by side still. West has got clear though in the battle for 8th place.
They were banging doors there, Adam, through 13, and West, well, what an inspired move by him to pick up those places right at the depth there. Great move from him as see Nom's teammate Mccain just come across the line there. Murakami, he's going to pick up that victory once again in Masters. Mccain wins Spec 2 as well. That's a Renders and Sancinelli having a bit of a moment there into 13, and that's just allowed Leone through, who's a bit of a charge himself up 10 places. Something for the Italians, both for himself and his fellow countryman Bruno Conte coming down to 30, both up 10 places. However, it looks like Flores, the American, 25th, is going to come out the highest number of places gained, up to 16. Wow. We knew it would be toast. We knew it would probably come down to a roll of the dice, but I thought when Austin Winner got that move done into turn 1, Adam, that was it. Done and dusted, foregone conclusion. But I think this just goes to show and prove never write off Aero Nom.
Yep, he sort of did a reverse of what we saw Marnie do on Mirashek earlier in the race, coming out of turn 11 there. Nom just carrying so much speed, he's a little bit more on the exit, had the momentum to come right round the outside of Winner, and then squeezed him down to the apex into turn 12, as we see it on the replay. Yep, you can see there just how much wider he was, so much more speed carried, and then squeezes Winner down to the apex, making sure he's got it tight on the inside there, and then carries a little bit more around the outside and gets the deal done into 13. He led for about 99% of the race there, I think. Winner must have thought he might just snatch it, but once again we see Aero Nom taking home the Gold Cup.
Just to confirm it, by 1/10 of a second, Aero Nom, your winner here in round 10 at the Hungaroring. Austin Winner in 2nd place in the end after leading for only half a lap all race. Crazy stuff once again in this series. Yang Shi Lin, an absolutely inspired drive for him, and a bit of pit strategy as well to bring home that last place on the podium overall. Arabian, which just seemed to look a little bit off the pace all race, slowly dropping down and settles for 4th in the end. Gory 5th. Marnie, that great overtake. We saw him over Mirashek to get into 6th. Mirashek obviously himself in 7th. West up into 8th for right in the line there. Viger and Sadro 9th and 10th. Murakami, your winner in Masters, 11th overall with first and second place in Spec 2 just behind him. Ollie Mccain taking the victory in Spec 2, 12th overall. Favini second in class, 13th overall. Then was Beardsley and Darlow picked up the last place on the podium in Spec 2. So you just see in the background there the traditional SRF weekend memorials. There's Demolition Derby getting well underway there in true Weekend Warriors style, taking out all the frustration. Jason Green, he was 16th. Delago, 17th. Nelson, great drive from him, second in class. It's in the Masters class, 18th overall. Elson, 19th. Leone, 20th. And then Sanchinelli, Renders, Gibson, Flores, Trespidi, Justice taking up to 26th. Bob Kern picked up 3rd place in Masters, 27th overall, with fellow Master drivers Cantor just behind him in 28th place, with Jackson and Conti round out the top 30. Warbot was the last driver on the lead lap in 31st. Then Antonio Rice, Brewster, Lopez and Sherman take it to 35th. We're all 1 lap down, with Tony Bartman 3 laps down. Macaro 4 laps down, then into the retirement, with Carter in 38th, who we lost on lap 8. Ackerman, who we lost on lap 6. Flag on lap 4. Haycox, unfortunately, we lost on lap 2, with Hansen rounding and Dantas, unfortunately, not making the start here at the Hungaroring. And well, I think now it's I can see there's lots of people queued up in the waiting room to have a bit of a chat with us. Let's take a chat with, first off, our race. Oh, I've moved it as well. Apologies about this. There we go. Got him once all. Aeronom, congratulations on the victory. First in the commentary booth. That was a grandstand finish between yourself and Austin Winner. I mean, in terms of being for yourself, how did it feel? I mean, did you feel like once he got past you into turn 1 that it was going to take something big to get back past him again? Or did you know, have in the back of the mind, that you had a chance to reclaim the position later in the lap like you did?
Yeah, I was quite confident I can break later, but yeah, it was very difficult because in the middle, basically all the race, he had very good turns in the middle there, I think second sector. And I was afraid he will get away, but yeah, I was able to stay behind. Also had a lot of off-tracks limits still available, so I wasn't worried going off-track there.
It was incredibly close, and I mean, obviously earlier in the race, where I believe you led, with exception during the pit stop period, you've led every single lap here at the Hungaroring. Was it just head down, not worried about what was going on behind you, and just keep chipping away and trying to pull a gap as much as you could?
Yeah, I was very good on the last turn coming to the straight, so they had to brake so much later than me to pass me in the turn 1, so I knew if I can keep the time behind on turn 1, then yeah, it was not possible to pass really, but it got close a few times and I made a few mistakes, so yeah, Austin was pretty fast, so nothing there to complain.
Anyway, so before we let you go, Aero, is anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
To congratulate Alan for winning the S2. He's my teammate, and yeah, congrats to him. And I want to thank all the league sponsors, admins, all the drivers, and you guys there in the boat.
Thank you very much. That's Aeronom, your victor here today at the Hungaroring. And wind up for yourself now, Adam. We've got, well, after an incredibly close fight and just missing out, it was so close. Austin Winner joins us in the commentary booth.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey Austin, so we saw you get very close to the final victory there. You must have had your fingers almost on the Winners' Cup. How did that feel from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. Air was definitely fast here. I think he would have driven away from me if it weren't for the draft. And unfortunately, I knew turn 12 he was really good at, and I was really bad at it. So that's the last passing spot. So even going in there with the lead, I figured there's a good chance he comes out of this corner ahead of me. So props to him. He earned it today.
It was a great drive to actually make the move there. I thought Aero was going to give you a really hard time, but you got such a good exit out of turn 14 entering the last lap and just slingshot past him. How long did it take you to set that particular move up?
Not too much. You kind of late apex it if you plan on doing a move, and I saw he kind of had a small mistake there or something, had a little bit of a wiggle, so he went off wide, and so I think it would have been a pass even without that. I just got lucky that he chose that lap to make a mistake to even give me a chance.
Yeah, another thing we also saw in that race, a lot of drivers going very late on their pit stops. Obviously, Hungaroring, not a track known for its overtaking. Were you thinking that you had to wait it out until the very end before coming in?
I usually don't think about it too much. I think Aero was faster than I was, so I wanted to stay in his draft just so I could keep it close. And then there was no lap traffic, really. I think we lapped 1 or 2 cars and they got over right away. So the other factor going into pit stops is seeing if you have a big group of lap traffic up ahead so you can avoid that. And that wasn't an issue here, so there was no reason to run a heavier fuel load. Just run it almost empty and then fill it back up with the minimum amount and run empty again.
And I think we've got time for one final question. Obviously, Phillip Island coming up next week, a very different track, lots of drafting, and I imagine close battles. Are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, I've always liked Phillip Island. It's another draft track, so there will be that element, but it's fun on the backside. There's a lot of flowy segments.
Thanks for joining us, and congratulations on your second tonight.
Thank you.
Goodness, Austin winner. I'll tell you what, let's have a little chat with our winner in Spec 2 right now. And as he mentioned earlier on, our overall winners teammate, Alan Mccain, joins us in the commentary booth now. Alan, congratulations. Couldn't ask for a much better day for yourself and your teammate. A winning class and a win overall between you.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous to see. I think it's the first time I've went to a new track and not had any problems. It was just fantastic.
It is. I mean, it seemed quite a bit of a tough battle in the midfield. Everyone seemed to be quite evenly matched. And what was it like being in that midfield? I mean, Hungaroring not really known for its vast array of overtaking opportunities. Was it just about ensuring you didn't make too many mistakes?
Yeah, it was just pretty much stay clean and just sort of leave enough gap that you can see the apex of the corners and just ride it out until you got a clear space and then go for it. Or as I did, pit a little earlier and try and get the jump on them.
Well, I was going to say, in terms of pit strategy, definitely played a part of it for yourself. Obviously, pitting incredibly early compared to certainly all the people that you finished around you. You pitted all the way back on lap 8, I believe it was. Was that always within your mind, or did you decide, as a bit of a snap decision, to pit early to just get yourself into some fresh air and try and lay down some really quick times?
No, I kind of had planned to sort of either go from lap 5. I was planning to go actually before lap 10 and just ride it out and see how it went. But I was pretty much happy the way I come out and was able to get that little bit of clean air and was able to then whenever Chris pitted, I was able to tag on at the back of him and just follow him round. And I was happy enough just staying where I was. As long as I was finishing P1, I didn't matter and stayed safe.
I know what you mean. It just definitely seemed to be all about staying safe out there. And as well, Phillip Island next. Obviously, you mentioned Hungaroring was one of the new attractions to yourself. What about that one? Is that one you know much about at all, or is it one you still to learn?
No, I pretty well. I know Phillip Island pretty well. It's just I've never been in it in this car, so it'll be a new task again. But should be pretty easy to pick up if I can drive it and anything else.
Definitely, I'm sure you'll be fine. And before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out at all to?
Big shout out to Stevie for organising the league and all the drivers that drive in it, and yourselves in the broadcasting booth, along with Mr. Aero Nom for teaching me the mastery of the SRF.
No problem at all. That is Alan Mccain, the 12th overall and your winner in Spec 2. There we go. And wow, what can we say? Another classic from this series, Adam. Wow, what was your favourite moment?
Well, I don't think you can really look past that last lap, can you? The tension was building. We said Winner was obviously keeping his powder dry right until the end there, and then it all kicked off. And yeah, a fantastic battle at the end there. But I think we saw some great racing throughout the pack. No one was ever sort of on their own. Maybe Arabian for a little bit in the middle there before he got hunted down. Some good pit stop strategy in there as well. Just another fantastic round. Looking forward to the next two before rounding out the season in a couple of weeks.
Likewise, and coming up on the channel, it's what's been an incredibly busy weekend here at Apex Racing TV. We've got rounding out the weekend. It is IGP Fun. That's coming up in quarter of an hour on the channel. There we are for round 10 at Sebring. Let's make sure you tune in for that one. Then tomorrow night at 8 PM GMT, it is the ARL Mazda Cup from Knock Hill. Mazda's Knock Hill. That is going to be a definite interesting one with at 1 AM tomorrow. It's as the Rikmatech World Challenge from Hungaroring. Be an interesting one then. On 7:45 on Tuesday, it is the Simutech Motorsports TCR Winter Series from Brands Hatch for rounds 13 through to 15. And then at 8 PM on Tuesday evening, it's ARL GT3 Pro Trophy. They are at Sebring as well. And then Wednesday, I'll be back in the commentary booth at Apex in the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship as we head to Zandvoort, which I love that track. It's an absolute classic. And well, what can we say about this series? Once again, delivering on action and excitement, and it went right down to the wire as we've seen so often this series. And it was Aeronom taking the victory. From myself, Adam and Jonathan, have a good evening, and we'll see you in a week's time as the championship heads to Phillip Island in New Zealand.